Chapter 19, Minn of the Mississippi. Minn comes to the end of the line. There she is. And there's that whole chain of the Mississippi River. After 25 well-fed summers, Minn was fat and content with life. Year by year, she had given in more to the river. Surely it ran on forever. It would always provide. Yet something was wrong in this coffee-colored paradise. It was too salty. She was now used to a strange tide flowing upriver for hours at a time, making the water brackish as far upstream as Baton Rouge. But this stuff was just too salty for a freshwater turtle. She would leave it till the briny taste and smell had washed away. Once more, Minn climbed a levee. Flabby, fat muscles heaved her bulk from a backwash up and up. She scraped over concrete and slid down to what she hoped was a freshwater lagoon. Fresh water! That liquid was positively bitter with salt. What did she know of Southwest Pass, one of the fingers of sand and running water the river pokes into the sea? She had crawled from it only to waddle down to a bay of the briny gulf itself. Slowly she clambered back the way she had come. With an outflowing ebb tide and a swift current chasing it, Minn picked up speed. She held the center channel, not to be scraped on the jetties on either side. Her flabby muscles could not turn her back. Drifting, Minn had come to the end of the line, whose hook of the lakes had hatched her. Slap, 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 and she was walloped by salty, stinging waves. Minn and her Mississippi had reached the sea. Others had followed this river to the sea. First there were Spaniards, wound-weary soldiers. Having buried DeSoto and built themselves boats, they followed the river to its end. Perhaps hugging its shore, its luck held with them, they might reach Mexico. Then came Frenchmen. Samuel LaSalle had stood on this surf sand, calling aloud as he climbed this wild land for Louis, his king. The river, its rivers, and all the land that drained, Louisiana. How much land did this mean? LaSalle did not know. It did not matter. He had called out words. The seabirds had heard him. The wind in the grass and the sand. What birds long dead, what sand long lost to the Gulf. But no matter. Though the words died on the wind, Louisiana clung to men's mind and changed the world. So there's some of the different birds. Some of the different sea animals. Sand and grasses melted away behind Minn. The whole North American continent melted away. Minn felt alone in this vast sea of restless, salty waves. Yet she was not alone. Lumbering pelicans, some brown, some black and white, a swallow-tailed cruiser of ocean skies, the man-o'-war bird, black skimmers with lower beaks plowing the surface all flapped at and past her. She saw a cousin of jellyfish, a Portuguese man-o'-war like a purple balloon with a fin of sail trailing long-haired tentacles. A kite-shaped stingray slid beneath her, a nightmare in flowing cape. A lazy shark and 3 slender remora fish turned to look at her. Like scouting pilots, each remora stared and pointed, while the shark smelled Minn with his scowl-ended nose. Though he was hungry as always, he decided against a very doubtful meal. Besides, this horny thing might chip his teeth or get stuck in his gullet. So he flopped his tail. The remora scouts glued their heads to him and all glided away. A loggerhead sea turtle, many times Minn's size, paused to look at her over. He hovered, waving aimless flippers, blinked to solemn eyes, and seemed to be thinking, "No close kin of mine." He left Minn to herself again in the Gulf of Mexico. Minn seldom worried about anything, yet in all this glaring, salty openness she felt uneasy. The bottom was sand, but much too bright with sunlight, or the bottom was dark, silt, sunlight still hammering down. The sand and soil dumped by the river would someday fill this entire part of the sea. Minn could not wait that long for a rest, but with waves lifting and slamming her down, bottom walking here got her nowhere at all. There was nowhere to hide, so when uprooted palm trees from Central America hove in view, Minn paddled towards them eagerly. Here was shade, but this tangle of old fronds broke the waves. She scrambled through a network of roots and found a snug resting place. Best of all, bright little crabs and darting fishes lived among the roots, and that meant eating again. Next morning, the whole sea seemed to know that trouble was brewing. Small fish were worried and swam past in glittering schools. Big fish were worried and restless. Shapes that men had never seen came from nothing and vanished, and nothing nervously. Even Minn wondered what was coming in her vague snapper way. But the gale struck so swiftly she lost her palm trees and never saw them again. So here's part of the delta with all its little fingers. Here's part of the bayous. The gale was not a hurricane, but it blew enough for Minn. Warrior waves charged shoreward, rank on rank, tripping and falling while headgear rolled in from froths of plume. Minn was hurled to the hard sandy bottom, hauled back up, heaved forward like a heavy weight in a shot put. Not even old Lake Pippin had made her feel so dizzy. She was as nearly seasick as a snapper turtle can be. After the storm, 2 Cajun fishermen found her, tossed up on a sand island in Bataria Bay. One cried, "Tired-looking snapper. Beat up by the wind. Help me. Pierre will lift in boat. By the saints, 40 pounds, I bet me." For hours on end, the boat chugged northward through grassy marshes. It kicked up birds like insect clouds in a hayfield. Leaving clear salt water, it came into dark-stained fresh water, winding among trees. From bay to lake, to bayou to canal, it sputtered and slid to a stop near the gates of a lock. Here was a high levee. Over it, unseen steamers talked in grunts, and Minn had completed a grand tour back to New Orleans. 46 pounds, cried a man on the bank as they weighed the snapping Minn. "Mighty big weight for that breed of turtle," drawled an auger woman walking into the crowd. 3 legs. Luke, come here. Listen, you with that turtle. For that there fat turtle meat, restaurants across the river might pay you $10, but I'll pay you 20. Yep, 20. I got that much for one like that years back, so I'll break even, and you wouldn't understand. Hours later, the 2 Cajuns chugged back along the bayous. One stared at blue rafts of water hyacinths beneath the bearded trees, muttering in all the newspapers, "Now all the country will know we sell 3-legged snapper to a crazy woman, $20, and she'd pay only for it to turn it loose. But we can catch it again and sell it to." "No, Pierre, did you hear folks talking about that woman? She shoots a rifle. She shoots a duck dead, flying 1 bullet. This boat don't need any new holes. That woman, that man, came every few years on a boat. A new Evangeline. She read about our people. She likes us. I think maybe she's nuts." Did you catch that? The old lady who bought the turtle had a boat called the Evangeline, and they build a new one every year. That's the lady that caught Minn and threw her in the barrel with all the thing, and she let Minn go because Minn had the boat. It tipped over when it hit, and she got out. That was the same lady from back in those other chapters. She bought Minn just to let her go. How many 3-legged snapping turtles are there? Probably not that many. Chapter 19 of Minn of the Mississippi.